talking now.
Hello, hello, hello. Kayla, Amani in here.
There you go. All right, flip this over. The waiting screen. Let's go live. Ready? Howdy, y'all. Welcome to PerfecPress HTV Live. We're here in our Atlanta studios, and if you're right now looking on Instagram or Facebook, please head over to YouTube for best streaming quality. The Facebook and Instagram's not going to show everything as YouTube will, so please flip over to YouTube, type in PerfecPress HTV on YouTube to see us. All right, y'all? Okay, so today we're going to get started. We're going to be talking about inkjet transfers. Last week, on Wednesday we did them, but we're going to do them again. We had some audio issues, we've been told, so we're going to do a few more again, and we're also going to talk about layering vinyl and show you step by step how it's all done. So let's get started with white garment transfers for inkjet. So here at PerfecPress HTV, we sell the Jet Pro soft stretch printable inkjet papers. So we printed a Power Ranger logo on these today using print cut with our GraphTech and our Epson printer. Now, a big issue people have when they try to attempt print cut is they say, it's not reading our registration marks, it's not working for me. The big reason for that is most vinyl cutters have a real hard time reading registration marks if they're too close to the edge of the paper. So what I have done is I always make sure my registration marks are about 2 fingers or a full inch inside of the paper, so it gives it plenty of space so it can read them just fine. Also, when you're doing inkjet white garment, this is a sort of paper that you're going to be placing face down on the garment. So you want to reverse the print or mirror the print. So it will read backwards, so when you're pressing it, it will press face down. Now when I set this to cut, I sent it to cut using the exact same settings you would use as an adhesive vinyl or like a Perfect Cut vinyl or Oracle 651, those style vinyls. That pressure setting tends to work just perfect for the inkjet white garment papers. Your real goal for these sort of papers is to cut it so it's just barely hanging on so you can take it and kind of rip or pop it out of the paper like so. So I want to take it and I'm just going to pop out this design. The reason you're doing this is you're separating it from the clear film that is on the paper. And while you could print the whole entire sheet, it's not going to feel very great. You're going to have a big old film across your whole sheet. It'll feel kind of stiff. So if you cut away a lot of it and make it just what you need for your image, it'll feel much better. Now this really works best on single one-piece designs that can all be in one thing. If you had letters like on the bottom, it's not going to work out or look as clean as it will as a single one-piece design. So you really want to try to make almost like your design's an emblem or something that's all in one piece that you can hold on to. Once you remove it from its backing, you're going to take your garment and you want to put it on your heat press. We're going to set our heat press to 375 degrees. Now today's heat press we're using is the brand new StarCraft Mint Press. This is a 15 by 15 heat press, only for $350. Fantastic quality heat press for the money. Great for all you beginners or those who are starting to get into the world of heat pressing and want to improve upon an easy press or a hand iron. This is a great start at a great price. It's got a great 1-year warranty. So we're going to take our t-shirt. Today we are using a Hanes pre-shrunk cotton, 100% cotton t-shirt. So we're going to place it on our heat press, like so. And we're going to give it a quick press just for about 4 or 5 seconds to get some of the wrinkles out and moisture out of this shirt. Again, we're just pressing for a few seconds to get the wrinkles out. We're at 375. And now for the actual pressing of the inkjet transfer, we're going to do it for 30 seconds. So I want to place it on the garment and so when I'm placing it on the garment, I like to put my fingers 3 finger lengths from the collar. Tends to get you that perfect chest size. I have relatively large hands though. If you have smaller hands, do 4 fingers and that should get you just right. We're going to make sure everything looks good. And then I want to take a piece of parchment paper or silicone sheet. Do not use Teflon. Teflon tends to stain, and while it works great for vinyl for a lot of these print techniques, it will stain and can stain over your other shirts. So use a disposable silicone or parchment paper or butcher paper. Cover your design, and then we're going to press for 30 seconds at 375 degrees. Now the big key with these papers is it is a hot peel. If you wait too long, even 5 seconds, it will have the paper cool and leave chunks of paper on the shirt, and it won't be able to easily remove. So the goal of this is to take your design off quickly, give it a nice stretch so it has a nice feel to it, immediately. You do not want to wait. So as soon as this beeps at me, I'm going to go to start peeling it. Here we go. Pops. Immediately go to peel it on one fluid motion, and then I like to stretch on the shirt. What I'm doing right here is kind of breaking away those fibers to give it a much softer, nicer feel. After I've pulled on it a bit, I'll lay it back on my heat press, take another sheet of parchment paper, cover it, and press just for about 5 seconds to kind of just smooth everything back out once again. There we go. And now I'm going to take my parchment paper away from it. Now if you look real carefully, it might be hard to see on camera, but it did leave a slight stain on the parchment paper. That's why we do not use Teflon, because if you did that on Teflon, it would be harder to see and you're more likely to mess up your shirt with that. So we're going to put this to the side. And now we are left with a really cool Power Ranger t-shirt. Looks pretty awesome. But what happens if you use this white garment transfer on a colored shirt, such as pink? We'll find out. So right now I got a Gildan 100% heavy cotton t-shirt. We're going to do the exact same technique again. I'm going to place it on the heat press. Try to get it as straight as possible. And then we're going to press again to get all moisture and wrinkles out just for a few seconds. There we go. So it's nice and less wrinkled now. Got moisture out of there. And again, with these white garment transfers, you want to send them through with 1 inch around where the registration mark and send it through the same sort of settings you would for a sign vinyl. And it should be able to just kind of rip and pop out. You're not trying to peel it from its base like the dark garment ones, which we'll show here in just a moment. Should just be able to easily tear away. Once you have it like so, you're going to place it face down on your garment. 3 finger lengths, or if you have small hands, 4 finger lengths from the collar. Try to keep it nice and centered. We're going to cover it with a piece of parchment paper. And again, we're going to press it for 30 seconds at 375 degrees. And here it goes. Again, y'all, you want as soon as it beeps at you, pop it up and immediately pull it away. If you wait 5 seconds, you've done way too long. I like to often tell folks, if you're not really burning your hands, you're probably not doing this right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to take away our parchment paper. We're going to immediately peel this away. After peeling it, we're going to give it a nice stretch so it feels nicer on the body. And I do a real violent sort of stretch. That's just to break up all those fibers. Then we're going to take it, lay it down, put our parchment paper back on it, and give it another about 5 seconds. And again, the second pressing is just to smoothen everything out so it looks nice and smooth and feels better. I'm going to throw out our parchment paper. This one, even more so than the last one, you can see it kind of stained it. So you want to throw that out. And that leaves us with a really great looking t-shirt. Now, this would not work though on darker colors. Once you get darker, it has no backing and will kind of disappear into the shirt. You won't be able to see it. But if you're going on light colors, it will work, but it will shift your colors a bit. If we're comparing side by side with our white one, let's get a down view here. You can see our colors are a little bit more muted, a little different, because our base color is different. There's no base to it, so it takes on whatever your base color is. So if you notice the yellows and everything turn a bit more pinky, peachy sort of in tone, and the white one is much more yellow. So now let's do a dark garment, y'all. So with the dark garment transfers, we sell two different kinds here, but they're essentially about the same thing. We have the neenah Jet Opaque 2, which is the orange grid back. And we also have the neenah 3G Jet Opaque. 3G stands for third generation. Jet Opaque 2 stands for second generation. 3G is the newer, more improved version of Jet Opaque 2. The major difference between the two is 3G has a little bit better adhesive and tends to work better with transfer tape. 2G or Jet Opaque 2 works just as well, but just doesn't work as well on transfer tape and doesn't last as long. But there are some folks who really enjoy it and still use it to this day. But personally, I think they're almost exactly the same, and I tend to lean towards preferring 3G. They cost exactly the same as well. So with 3G paper, you're going to, again, print your design, this time right reading instead of reverse like on the light garment paper. And you want to send it through and cut with the exact same settings. But unlike the last one where we popped out, this is really a 2-layer paper. So we're going to remove and weed out the excess and then put transfer tape on it to lift it. So this is how we do that. We're going to put it on our table. We're going to get our weeding tool. Use your weeding tool and bring it to the very edge of where you cut the design and just slice across. And then you should be able to separate that paper like so, and weed out all the excess. Now, a difficult thing with this paper that sometimes can occur is oftentimes when you send it to cut, the vinyl cutter's blade will push down into the ink in the paper and kind of make a seal. And even though you put tape on it, it's hard to lift without breaking that seal. So very carefully, I'm going to take my weeding tool and stick underneath the transfer. Be very careful though, because these transfers can scratch easily before they're heated. Once they're heated, they're fine, but before they're heated, they're not cured and they can scratch very easily. So I'm just moving my weeding tool across to break the edge so it's easier to lift. Like so. So our edge is mostly all broken free now. Should be good. So the next thing we're going to do is apply our transfer tape. I found personally the best transfer tape for this is the TTD mask by Sizer. We also sell a rhinestone transfer tape that is commonly used for our pre-printed solvent print transfers, but that one's too aggressive and will tear up this paper. The TTD mask will work just fine and allow you to lift the design. Now the benefit is, if you have a design that is not an emblem or a one-piece design, say it has multiple little letters and stuff, this is the time where transfer tape comes in handy and lifts them all at once so you can do them all together. So we're going to take our transfer tape, and I'm going to actually hold it up next to my design and trim out any excess that I don't need. Now you can use the whole sheet if you want. Also, these sheets are relatively reusable. You can usually get about 5 uses out of them before they lose their stick, as long as you put them back on itself. So that looks good there. So now I want to peel the backing away from here. And we're going to U it. Like so. Then you're going to take a squeegee. If you don't have a squeegee, use the side of your weeding tool or something flat and smooth and really squeegee real well the front And then flip it over and as well squeegee the back. Once done, you should be able to take your paper and it should be able to peel right up. Yeah, having a hard time grabbing it today. There we go. We should have a nice transfer. Now, sometimes it will grab a little bit of the paper and peel up on it. Usually that's not much of an issue though. There's no adhesive on that paper, so it shouldn't cause any sticking to your design. So now we're going to take a dark colored shirt. Let's use this green one here. This is a Gildan 100% cotton. This is much too dark that any white garment transfer would work. They would look horrible if you tried it on here. But dark garment transfer will work wonderful. So we're going to place it down. Like so. We're going to give it a press for about 5 seconds to pull all that moisture and wrinkles from it. Now something I want to point out, y'all. On cheaply dyed shirts, and this one's no exception, it's Gildan brand, sometimes when you press them, the color will become darker than the shirt started off as. That's because cheaper dyes will change with heat. Usually once they get back to room temperature, it all should turn back to normal, but this happens pretty often, and I know it can be very scary when you see it. You're like, what's happening to my shirt? It's changing colors on me. Not very fun. But don't get freaked out. Usually it's a-okay if that happens. There are some exceptions. Sometimes reds do not return back to normal. So for this press, we're going to set our heat press to 350. So we're going to lower our temperature a bit. We're going to keep it at 30 seconds. So we're going to give it just a moment to cool down. Now if you press it a little bit hot, it's not a huge deal. It can handle it, but it's best to keep it around that 350 range. If you're going back from a white garment to a dark and it's at like 360 or so, it's not going to kill it. It's not going to ruin it. But don't go too hot. If you're doing it at 400 or something, it will cause issues. So try to keep it around that 350 range. Now if you go lower, I've done it as low as 330 and it worked fine. When you get lower than that, it won't hold up in the wash. Now my tech team, do we have any questions or anything, y'all?
No, somebody just said good morning, Winston.
Who said a good morning? Hello, good morning to you. Great. So we're at 360 already. So I'm going to take this. That's cool enough where we shouldn't have any problems. So I'm going to take our dark garment transfer and we're going to place it face up, sorry, with our tape. Again, I'm doing 3 finger lengths from the collar. You want to be careful. Don't burn your hand on a heat press. It's never pleasant to do so. So watch what you're doing. Make sure everything looks nice and straight. And we're going to give that a press for 30 seconds. Now, unlike the last one where we were doing it immediately hot peel, this one you don't have to rush. You can do it at hot, you can do it warm. It doesn't need to be a hot peel. The transfer tape though will just nicely fall off. It's kind of like doing normal HTV. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom! And again, like I said, there's no urgency on this one. You're just going to peel it away like so. Put that over here. And again, we could reuse that transfer tape if we'd like, but we're left with a pretty nice looking t-shirt. Pretty great. So what if you're making a t-shirt and you run into the issue of, I got the dark garment transfer, I printed it, but now I don't have any transfer tape. My project's ruined, I can't finish it. Don't fret, you can get this done without using any transfer tape. So again, I have a dark garment transfer printed. We're going to do the exact same technique as earlier. We're going to take our weeding tool, go to the edge of where our design is cut, slice across the paper, inch underneath there, and guide it underneath there, hopefully you can grab, and then you're going to weed out the excess.
Somebody asked, is it a hot peel?
It is a hot peel. Now this technique without using transfer tape is not a hot peel. This is actually going to be a cold peel without transfer tape, and I'm going to demonstrate that. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our weeding tool, and just like the first time where we broke the seal, we're going to do the same thing, but instead of just breaking the seal, we're going to lift the whole entire thing in one go. So we're going to inch that underneath there. Again, be very careful. It scratches very easily before it's heated. We're going to peel it up like so. Now we're going to get our garment ready. So we're going to use a black shirt on this one. And this is going to be 100% polyester from Gildan. Black G420, I believe these are. Yes, and this is 100% polyester. So polyester tends to bleed. So what you're going to notice is this transfer is going to probably get a bit darker. And that's basically because most polyester shirts are dyed with a form of sublimation ink. And when sublimation ink gets in that 350, 375, 400 range, it becomes active. So it can bleed up and change your shirt. So we'll probably see our transfer get a little grayer than what it currently looks like. What you're going to do though is you're going to take your transfer and you're going to place it right down where you want it on your garment. If you leave it without covered, the heat from your heat press will start to make your transfer curl quickly. So you want to cover it with parchment paper relatively quickly so it doesn't curl on you. Once you have it where you like it, you're going to press it at 350 for 30 seconds. So here we go. Now, unlike last time with the transfer tape, this is going to be a cold peel because what is happening right now is the ink that is on the inkjet transfer is right now getting out all the little bit of liquid and water and steaming and causing a seal between that silicone parchment paper and the garment. If you were to try to peel it away hot right away, it would peel up the whole thing. It's really supposed to be cool to the touch before you peel away that parchment paper. So here we go. We have it. If I was to try to peel it up right now, most likely it would peel up the whole design. So I'm going to remove it from our heat press, take it over to the table. You can hold it like this, air it out. You can put it on a cool table, move it around, have it absorb heat. Some people take a piece of tile that's cool and put it on their garment to cool it down quickly. If you have a second heat press that's not being used, press it with a cold heat press. It tends to suck the heat out. Any of those techniques will help to make the garment cool up faster. Once it's relatively cool to the touch, again, I'm going to move it around this table to help it cool down. Once it's relatively cool to the touch, then you can peel away your parchment paper. We'll put it to the side because it does bleed and ruins the parchment paper. It won't be reusable. And as y'all can see, the black, because this is polyester, did bleed through and give it a sort of a gray look to it. If this was cotton, it would not do that. It will only do that with polyester. All right, y'all. So that's light and dark garments. Do we have any questions on the chat, y'all? All right, no questions on chat. Let's move on. Miss Kayla is going to come over here and she's going to show y'all a little bit about layering vinyl. Miss Kayla, howdy.
Hello guys, so today we're going to talk about layering vinyls, and I did use the designs that we get asked about a lot. So the first design we're going to layer is this beautiful African American woman with blue hair, and you see it has about, I think, 5 to 6 layers, and not too sure. But we're going to put it on the blue shirt. So first thing you're going to do is lower your heat press down to 300 degrees. And then you're going to set your time for about 10 to 15 seconds. So while that is lowering, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know how to do some things. So when layering, you're going to make sure that you don't press for the entire 15 seconds because you can actually burn the adhesive on the back and it will melt and kind of get a little bit smaller, which will mess up your entire project. The best tip for layering is to start with your black your black outline, whatever outline you have first, which is going to be this one, because it just gives you a little guide as to where you're going to put the pieces inside of. So that's cooling down. So I'm going to first press my shirt a little bit to get rid of the wrinkles, because you don't want wrinkles in your shirt when layering vinyl. So as Winston said before, it is a bit of a square in here, but it's fine. It will go back perfectly normal. So it's at 326. The first thing I'm going to do, like I said before, I'm going to layer down the black outline first. Just make sure that there's no small little fleet pieces on your design. And as Winston said before, make sure it's about 3 fingers down, but I have very small hands, so I'm going to do 4 fingers. And it is right. Now, heat press is on 317, so I'm just going to press just a teeny tiny bit for maybe about 3 seconds just to make sure it doesn't burn too much. The pressure in that is really, really heavy. All right, so this is a hot peel, so I'm just going to peel it straight up. And now my second layer I'm going to do is I'm going to do the pink outline. But because the pink outline over here has this big gap, I'm going to fill in some of the small spaces in the middle just to cut down time on layering. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut this part out. So I'm going to layer this around her hair. And if you see that some pieces in here aren't fitting right, you can stretch the shirt a little bit, wiggle a little bit around just to make sure that it can go in there. So now I'm going to take my other pink piece on this side. And I'm gonna go ahead and press our PerfecPress chocolate on here for her face and her neck. But I do see a piece of the plastic right here. Whenever you're laying, you want to make sure that you do cut all plastics out, because if you try to press onto the plastic, it's not going to go on the shirt. It's going to mess up your entire design. So I'm going to cut that piece. And now I'm going to take her skin tone. And I'm just going to move it around a little bit just to get the perfect match. And I'm just cutting the excess part that I saw that was right under the brown, just to make sure that everything sticks to shirts and not plastic. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and press this. Now I am going to put my Teflon sheet on top because there is a bit of the black showing now. So, pass me the Teflon sheet, please. Thank you. I'm going to cover this up. And just press for about 5 seconds because you are layering, you don't want to make sure that you melt the vinyl. Well, you want to make sure you don't melt the vinyl, I'm sorry. So now this is all a hot press again, so I'm just going to peel it straight off. So now our first 3 layers are done. So I always do the blue layer last because this one actually is a cold peel. So it's going to be my last layer. So next what I want to do is I'm going to do my yellow. And I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit. And I'm actually going to do the white in her eyes. And I'm just cutting the plastic again. When you're doing 2 layers at a time, please just make sure you be extra careful. And always double check to see if you have any plastic under. So again, all this is going to be a hot peel. So I'm just going to peel straight up. So I'm going to do her eyeshadow. And her lips. So if you see that some things aren't lining up right, it is okay to take some scissors and just cut those pieces out separately. And again, this is a hot peel right here. And now for my final layer, I'm going to add her hair. Just to make things pop. Like I said before, you can cut things out if you see it's not lining up correctly. So I'm going to cut this piece out right here. Just be careful you don't cut the shirt. I'm going to cut the other side as well. And I'm going to press this.
How long on each layer are you doing?
On each layer, I do about 5 to 6, 8 seconds. Kind of just depends. But I never go to 10 seconds. So this one is a cold peel, so I just like take my sleeve a little bit just to cool it down. You know, I really don't think that does anything, but it just helps me feel more secure. So I'm going to peel a corner up just to see if it peels up, and it is. I'm going to peel it straight off. So now this is my shirt, but I'm going to do one final press just to secure everything. And for the final press, I do about 10 seconds because everything's already in place, so just 10 seconds will be okay. And this is the final product. So the next shirt I'm going to show you is Spider-Man wearing a mask, and we do get asked about this one a lot. So I'm going to use the burgundy shirt. Of course, I'm going to press a little bit just to get rid of the wrinkles. I'm going to take my Spider-Man. I'm going to use the last layer, which is going to be our black. Put that down. And most of the layers for this Spider-Man is going to be in flock, between PerfecPress flock and Sizer's flock. Make sure it's 4 fingers down. So now I'm going to press this down on the heat press. And I'm not really going to use a Teflon sheet because it is the first layer, everything is already covered. So I'm going to press this one down for 5 seconds. And I'm just going to peel this up, but be very careful because flock can sometimes be a little hasty. It doesn't know when to be a cold peel or a hot peel, so just be very careful. So now that my first layer is down, I'm going to take the red, PerfecPress red, and I'm going to put it on there. Now, it can sometimes be hard to see, but you can just take your phone's flashlight or so and then just shine it on there just to make sure you're doing all your layers correctly. I am going to cut this apart because it's not lining up correctly when it's all together. And I'm going to do another cut. And I'm going to press. Now I do need to use my Teflon sheet because some of the black is showing. Again, I'm going to press for about 5 to 8 seconds. So this one is coming up a little bit, so I'm just going to rub it with my fingers down with my jacket just to cool it down a tad bit.
Kayla, we have a question. What all pieces are the flock and what is a flock?
So for the Spider-Man, everything that I'm using right now is flock, but when we get to the mask, this is going to be the only one that's PerfecPress soft. Everything else is going to be PerfecPress flock except for this bright red from Sizer strip flock. So because when I peeled this corner up at first, it did come up a little bit, so I'm not going to go back to this corner. I'm going to pull from another corner. Just be very careful when peeling flock up. And if you don't know what flock is just a velvety suede feeling vinyl, and it feels really, really great. Has a great texture to it. So I am going to do one press on this before I do my second layer because this piece did come up a teeny tiny bit. So I'm going to press for a few seconds. Put my Teflon sheet on top. And now it's back secure. So my next layer I'm going to do is going to be the Sizer strip flock from which is called Bright Red. And this is going to be my highlight piece right here. And because it does have this big gap right here, I'm going to start layering my mask for Spider-Man. So I'm going to cut this piece out. Just be careful not to cut the shirt. So I'm going to start with my far right piece. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So now I'm going to press this down again for about 7 seconds. Make sure you cover your Teflon sheets. And the mask is PerfecPress soft, so it is a hot peel, so I'm going to peel it straight up. And this one, I'm going to just let it rub it down just a teeny tiny bit. And I'm going to peel it up. So now I'm going to go on the eyes layers. I'm going to put it on the eyes. And I'm just going to cut at the bottom because I can't do another layer right there for his mask. Just going to cut a teeny tiny bit more. And I'm going to layer this down. And this is also PerfecPress soft. Now I'm just double checking to make sure no plastic is going to be under any of my vinyls. Now I'm going to press this. Put my Teflon sheet on top. And press for another 6 to 7 seconds or 6 to 8 seconds. Rub against the gray, which is the flock. I'm gonna peel this up. Okay, so now I'm gonna go on my next layer, which will be my flock white from PerfecPress. And again, I'm just going to cut the bottom just so I can press all at once again. So I'm going to my PerfecPress soft and do my final layer for the mask. So I'm going to press again for 6 to 8 seconds. I'm going to rub down the white flock again. Peel up the PerfecPress soft. And now you are done. This is the final product, but I'm going to press again just to secure everything in place. Clean my Teflon sheet. So this time I'm going to press it for about 8 to 9 seconds. And this is the final product.
Awesome.
Do you have any other questions?
I think that's all the questions we have. All right. Well, thank you, Kayla.
You're welcome.